Okay. All right. Thank you for taking the time to jump on and listen to the capability that we provide for cleaning your Eloqua instance. So just a little bit about PortQii. We're a marketing technology platform company. We're an Oracle partner for the last almost 10 years now. And we have been building platforms on top of that sit on top of Eloqua to solve very specific use cases. We have been working along with just the cleaning up of Eloqua instance to also then be able to do the migration of assets or any custom application development as well for some of our customers. But I think for today we're going to focus primarily on the cleanup of the Eloqua instance. It's not a slideshow mostly, it's going to be a demo. But before we jump into the demo, I wanted to talk about and just lay the context of why the capability that we provide with Asset Dependency Manager is needed. Let's just take, for example, that we have to clean up a contact field. The contact field, there's obviously different assets that you may want to do the cleanup, but we're just using the contact field as an example. When you're trying to remove a contact field from an Eloqua instance, you're actually running into dependencies. Now, dependencies, the definition of a dependency is this contact field is present in all of these different assets that exist inside of the Eloqua platform. So be it a contact field is referenced in a segment, dynamic content, view, program forms, so forth and so on. Now, obviously, this diagram makes it look like, okay, it's just these assets, but the amount of assets that are where this contact field is present is actually where the challenge lies, right? Because we would find a contact present in over 2,000 segments, in 300 forms, and thousands of bulk import and export definitions. So the problem is pretty exponential just for this one asset. Now, when we look at how to remove the contact field, we would just go into these assets and we can actually delete the contact field from these assets. But that's not always true for every asset type. As an example, for a field merge, you can't just take a field merge and delete that contact field. You have to actually delete the full field merge or replace that one contact field with another. And field merges are present in landing pages. So now all of a sudden, if you want to think about removing a field merge, you've got to go in all of the landing pages in which the field merge exists in. So that's another challenge, right? That is exponentially gets exposed, right? Now, when it comes to campaigns, now that also in Eloqua provides it's a bigger challenge. The challenge is when it comes to the completed campaigns. Eloqua does not allow us to update completed campaigns. Now, because of the only way that we can actually remove a contact field from a completed campaign is to actually delete that completed campaign. So now all of a sudden you've got to say, okay, I've got these how many ever thousands of completed campaigns where I've got to now remove. And now it's not just a matter of removing, hey, I can just delete the completed campaigns because the completed campaign has dependencies of its own. So that now you have to now remove them from segments, from forms, wherever, from other campaigns as well. So wherever these completed campaigns may exist. So because of that, we have this is one of the main reasons for why the cleanup actually stalls. And we're talking about just this one example of one contact field, but in reality, what our customers are looking to do is not just remove the one contact field or the 5 contact fields. They're looking to actually remove and clean up, say, half of their Eloqua instance. Now, because of that, you saw the problem with one contact field and all of the dependencies. Now imagine trying to actually clean up hundreds and hundreds of thousands of assets from inside of Eloqua. The dependencies, they just keep on coming. And I think this pretty much represents a really kind of pain point for marketing operations. And when they're actually trying to clean up an Eloqua instance, it just becomes an impossible task. What we've done is we've actually enabled a capability and a strategy to successfully remove assets from an Eloqua instance. And that's what I'm going to go into now, and just to be able to walk you through the demo of the Asset Dependency Manager platform. All right, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to share my other screen. Okay, share screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my Eloqua instance. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the Asset Dependency Manager platform. And it's pretty much through the menu app. The way we like to structure the cleanup is we like to structure it in packages, because you want to control how the cleanup takes place, right? You just don't want to say, I've got this thousands and thousands of assets and just remove it from the Eloqua instance. You want to go with a very strategic approach. You want to go attack your campaigns, then your programs, then your forms, emails, landing pages. So take a little bit more structured approach. And this is why we like to take the approach of organizing the assets inside of a package. I'm going to go ahead and create a new package here. And we're just going to call it webinar 2025, 11/21, today's date. I'm just going to hit save. Now, what you had seen earlier is actually we also have the capability to create a package from a file. Sorry. So if you look here, you can just upload a file with the list of assets, and that asset is actually now, the file will automatically create the packages for you through this process. Just looking at what the sample file may look like, it's just literally just the name of the asset, the type of the asset, and the asset ID. And that's all that is required. And my team can actually help you in terms of building this file together if you guys don't have the capability to get this information out of your Eloqua instance. But now coming back into, I'm going to hit close here. I'm just going to go back into the package that I've created. Now, the first step is that you want to be able to say, okay, these are the assets that we want to get removed from an Eloqua instance. The type of assets we are able to remove are many types. Now, when we think about cleaning up an Eloqua instance, we wanted to provide our customers with the most comprehensive cleanup capability possible, and not just limited to campaigns and emails, right? We want to say, because in reality, because of the dependencies that exist, it's better to have a much more expansive capability to the type of assets that you can actually remove from an Eloqua instance. And there's multiple ways to actually add an asset. When you can actually search for it, you can organize your cleanup by folders, and then add assets to that folder, and then have that folder added to the package. So there's different ways to organize a package. Now, I'm going to use a contact field, and in the contact field, I'm just going to go ahead and add two fields to this package, and I'm going to hit save. Now, once this is saved, I'm going to hit manage all dependencies, and what it's doing is it's now going ahead and actually getting the dependencies for these two fields. While that's running, let me go ahead and show you guys talk about what the admin capability looks like. Now, within the admin capability of the configuration for the application, we have, when the dependencies are added to the package, they are ready to be run. Now, if you actually look at an export, so let me export this dependencies, you will already see that, oh, I've got these fields, I had these dependencies, and this is the action that we're going to take on. So if you've got the dependency action, this is already defined inside of the package that's been added. Now, where is this coming from? This is actually coming from the right here, from this setting right here. So you'll see the bulk imports and exports, all of the actions, the default actions are actually defined. We always, 99% of the time, find that people are actually using our application to clean up the Eloqua instance. So the default action is always to just remove that asset from the parent asset. So that's just one setting. Now, we also have the capability to replace. We've seen some customers that are actually looking to remove and replace contact fields to custom objects because they're doing a read data architecture approach. And where that's going to help is they're actually going to now be able to, say, move the contact field to a custom data object, and wherever that contact field is referenced, we will now point that custom data object field to the different assets. Cruise control, this is probably the most important setting inside of this settings area. This setting allows us to actually, and this is specific to a completed campaign. This will allow us to automatically, if we encounter a dependency in a completed campaign, we will be able to add that completed campaign into the package and have it marked for deletion. And the way we do that is we check for folders that are added into this into the setting, and we will look if that completed campaign is part of this set of folders or subfolders. And if that is the case, we will then add it. Otherwise, we won't add that completed campaign to the package. But that's just a really key capability for the platform. Now, user permissions. User permission, this is allowing us to basically control who's actually going to be able to use the application. Obviously, you don't want, once the application is installed, you don't want people to automatically just be able to use the platform, the ADM platform, because it's a really powerful platform, and as a result of that, we want to control the use of it. So admins of Eloqua can actually give permission of who will be able to actually do the cleanup through the asset dependency manager. Now, this list here, this is a file upload asset limit. And where this is used is earlier when I showed you the capability of adding packages through a file, where what we're able to do with this is that we're able to control. Now, if you have a file and you upload a file with, say, 30,000 emails need to be deleted. We've actually had a customer that wanted 80,000 emails deleted. And they were like, I could just upload a file of these 80,000 emails. What we want to do is we want to be very careful in terms of how we go about in terms of the cleanup, and hence we are that one file which contains the 80,000 emails, we are now breaking it up into many packages. And what this allows us to do is saying, okay, yeah, you can actually upload with an email of a file with so many assets, just because we want to be a little bit more controlled. And the objective is not to make it so that we can clean up an instance with just one file upload. We still want to do a very quick cleanup, but at the same time, we want to have it in a controlled way. That's why this setting exists. Now, coming back to the this package here, you'll notice that we've got 97 assets, dependencies that exist, and I just realized that maybe the file that I should have been visible. So I'm just going to hit manage dependency and show you the action. So one of the things you'll see is, okay, this contact field has dependencies and contact views and campaigns and contact filters, forms, programs, segments, and this is the action that's going to be taken to remove that contact field. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit clear dependency and let this process run. Now, while this is running, I just want to give you a statistics in terms of the speed of which it's running. Now, we have the capability to execute a package for about, I think we can throttle the speed with which we are hitting your Eloqua instance. We've done it at about maybe 10 to 15 seconds per API call is what we've typically seen our customers in production go with. The other point is that we actually had a customer that at the time of renewal, they were looking to renew the license of our application, and they asked us, "Hey, how many dependencies did we actually delete across the last year?" Now, we were able to, when we ran the numbers in the statistics, we realized that we had actually removed 1.2 million dependencies from the Eloqua instance so that their assets can be deleted. Now, that in itself, I think, is a testament, right, to the capability of the platform and how fast we can actually clean up an Eloqua instance, because to have touched 1.2 million assets inside of an Eloqua instance, I would actually have to live many lifetimes for us to actually be able to accomplish this. So that in itself is showing the productivity gains that you're getting during the cleanup of an Eloqua instance. Now, once this cleanup is completed, what you'll realize is we'll be able to export the same spreadsheet. You'll be able to export and see, okay, these were the assets that you wanted removed. These were the dependencies that were inside of the asset, and these were the actions that were taken and whether we were successful or not. With that said, right, clearing 97 dependencies, even with 97 dependencies, I would say it would take a resource about a couple of weeks to get this cleanup done. And I think I've been talking for about 5 minutes or so since I started the cleanup, and probably under 5 minutes, and it's already finished with the 97 assets. So this kind of demonstrates the capability of actually removing the dependencies. I chose to actually clear the dependencies. If I had chosen the option of clear dependency and delete, it would have actually deleted those two contact fields. I didn't do that because I use these two fields in my instance for my demos all the time. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm just going to clear the dependencies so that I have these two fields for my next demo. But with that said, we're able to clear 97 dependencies in under 2 minutes, and actually 4 minutes. But yeah, now the one key thing that to note is that we have the capability to delete assets and clean out your Eloqua instance very quickly, as it's demonstrated here. But one area that we want to see is, what about the recovery of assets? If, for example, an asset got touched or removed and we didn't want that to happen, I'm just going to go into the into the Eloqua platform, and I'm going to show, let's just say forms. And if I go into this particular form, I see, okay, that there's these 4 fields in the Eloqua instance, and I'm going to go ahead and find version control. So we have another application called version control. Now, within version, right now it's saying, okay, it's 11:20 on November 21st at 10:54 is what the current time is. And you notice that at 10:51, this form was touched, and 10:53, this form was touched. So what's happened here is the fact that we've actually we've touched this form 2 times. And this was because we had the 2 fields that we actually removed from the Eloqua instance. Now, what we can do is we can actually look and see, okay, what was the previous version of this form? So I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, yes, this form was touched yesterday, and I'm going to see what the previous version was before I touched this form. And what you'll realize is, okay, these 2 fields are now on this form that are not in the existing form, but they were in the older version. And as you'll notice, these are the 2 fields that were actually removed by the Asset Dependency Manager platform. Now, what I can do is, okay, maybe this was a mistake. I should not have touched this form. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit rollback. I can actually roll back as new. Now, one note to point out is the fact that, okay, when I did a view version, I was able to render this form, and it's our kind of little trick that we do, is the fact that we are rendering the form of the previous version of this form, and we're creating it inside of your Eloqua instance for just a minute while we are able to render it on the screen, and then we delete it because we don't want to add junk for every view version. We don't want to add those assets and leave them inside of your Eloqua instance. So this is our little trick where we actually look at what the previous version was, we show it to you, and then we delete it, but it stays on the screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, yes, that was a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and hit rollback. And I'm going to go ahead and roll back to the previous version. And as this is happening, it's now going back into our version control. Now, the one thing to note is these versions that you see, the user didn't have to go in and take a backup manually. Our application is automatically taking a backup of every change that happens inside of an Eloqua instance across all of the asset types. So what I mean by that is it's not only a change that's happened by the asset dependency manager, but as your users are actually using your Eloqua instance, they're creating campaigns, emails, landing pages. Those changes are actually being automatically backed up in near real time. And as you can see, the rollback is saying it's completed. I'm going to hit refresh on this page. And once I hit refresh, I should see the two fields are now available and recovered, right, to the form. So that said, I'm going to stop sharing because I want to see if there's any questions on the screen here. All right. Let's see. So no forest. So yeah, I think what we've demonstrated here is really the capability to, first of all, clean up an Eloqua instance at speed across many asset types, but corely for the contact field. But we do have, as you can see from the list, we can clean up many asset types. And then secondly, we've got the capability to now recover assets. Now, one of the things I want to highlight are what's coming next inside of the asset dependency manager. Here, what you're seeing is me as a user is having to create asset packages and clean up the Eloqua instance, versus by the end of the year, I think in mid-December, we're actually going to be rolling out a capability where our platform is going to monitor based on certain conditions what are the assets that are going to be removed from the Eloqua instance, and then to go ahead and actually, based on certain conditions, okay, if you've got campaigns that are 4 years old, landing pages or forms that are not being, there's no new submissions happening, or emails belonging to completed campaign, we will automatically pick those assets up and delete them. Obviously, we will have an approval process in place too. So if you want to approve the action that our asset dependency manager is taking, we'd be able to then get those assets cleaned up without you even really going through this process of going into our application, building packages, going into, verifying the dependencies, and then hitting clear dependency, right? All of that is going to be completely automated for you. Okay, yeah. I don't see any questions. So I think what we'll do is we'll stop. I know we're at time here. We'll stop the webinar, but thank you for taking the time to jump on. And we'll look forward to coming up with new demos as for some of our other platforms.